All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into Alarm Fantasy Football. I'm your host, Howard Bender, joined by two of the greatest NFL analysts in the fantasy sports space. You know what? Just in the sports space as is. Britt Flinn, Andrew Cooper. What's up, guys? How are we doing today?
I don't know. How you doing, Howard?
Oh, don't do that. It's overused.
What are you
It's
talking about?
overused.
I will say, when you say in the sports space, Britt's recent streak of hitting on MLB games is really carrying a lot of weight there because I'm mostly just football. But Britt is keeping us in the general sports space by crushing those baseball bets on the Better Sports Morning Show.
Oh, I missed yesterday, though. I was so upset. I'm like, how does Reed Detmers pitch a shutout? How does this happen?
Looks
It
like we're
makes
just
zero
football again.
sense. I was so upset.
Just football again, Howard.
No, I got one on my personal betting app. So if it hits, then I'll be back in the baseball space tonight.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what it is. I don't know. I just did the MLB best bets over at fantasyalarm.com. So I don't know. What did you get, Britt? I want to hear it.
Oh, let me pull it up. I've got so many
I
bets.
will allow one baseball pick on the Alarm Fantasy Football Show. Just one.
That's it.
Just one. He's so bossy, right?
This is the name of the show, guys. We will do one baseball pick and that's it. And everyone in the chat has to make a bunch of money on it.
Britt, if I asked you who the least fun analyst was on this show right now, who would it be?
It's looking to be Andrew Cooper.
I think it would be Andrew Cooper.
Unbelievable, dude.
No.
I'm the least fun.
Always fun.
I put down Torkelson at plus 200 for a home run.
I got that one. I'm putting action down.
I was talking
on that
over
too.
it.
I'm putting it in. I'm texting my guy right now. Texting my guy.
What is that? Dinger? Who's hitting it?
Torkelson. See, pay attention. Just pay this much attention, Coop.
Spencer Torkelson. I know that guy. Great name.
Do you have the baby cry like in your head the entire time? Is that all you hear now?
Permanently.
It's like yesterday after Pantera, I just heard like monitors ringing in my ears. Today it's just Laney in Coop's ears like all day.
Right. And it's Mr. Scampers too in the chat. What's up? We got
Hal's here. Everybody. The gang's all here. All right. Well, then fine. Let's do it. Up, Scampers. I need a guy. California sucks. Yeah, well, California does suck. I got a guy. Oh, Coop's going with the shades here. That means we're back to business. It's all fantasy football talk from here on in. We thank everybody for joining us. If you're, what's that? Oh,
I finally got some shades.
Finally get shades. Let's go. All this time you didn't have shades, and you come in with those showstoppers, the T-Rexes. My goodness.
Yeah.
Look out, Hoove.
Those are tight. I like those. This is all I got here.
That's all.
You got like General, baby.
Those little like Morpheus from the Matrix ones going on there. Red pill, blue pill action.
Or any kind of pill, actually. You know what? I'm good for all of it. Just give me a fistful of pills and I'm ready to go.
Campers as a guy.
All right. Yes. Let's get down to some action here. We got a lot of ground to cover here. There's a lot of news and notes that we want to get to. We're also going to be doing some pick'em contest stuff. So we're going to play a little higher and lower thanks to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. So we're going to be taking a look at some stat lines for a number of players and tell you whether or not we think they're going to go higher or lower than some of their stats say. We're also going to be jumping in and answering some questions that we got on Reddit. And by the look of these questions, it's not all fantasy football. There's some fun and some games going on here. So let's start it off as we always do. It's time for some news and notes with your correspondent, Britt Flinn.
We have the music.
I didn't hear the intro music either. I think we might be having audio difficulty today. So.
Yeah.
Which is
we're fine. All right, guys. The Browns and the Eagles suit up tonight in the second preseason game of the year. Is there anything that you're expecting to see and or need more answers about tonight?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. I'll jump in because both coaches came out and said that they were doing the annoying coach thing where they're like, the real game was in joint practices on Monday and Tuesday, and the starters aren't going to play. But for us, I don't think they understand how deep in this game we are, and the dynasty leagues and the Devy leagues and all this stuff where just them deciding who gets to play and who doesn't gives us some information. And Britt, you brought it to our attention this morning. I am very excited to see who the Eagles deem worthy enough to sit this game out as the starting running backs and who has to play. Because I think that's going to mean a lot right now in an ambiguous backfield. I also want to see with the Browns who, I mean, obviously guys like, Cedric Tillman as rookies are probably going to play, but Donovan Peoples-Jones, Elijah Moore, either of those guys going to play? Maybe Jerome Ford gets the night off because he's already earned that second role. So who plays and who doesn't tonight, that's going to be the game. And the very last thing, of course, that quarterback, DTR for the Browns, man, he made a little magic last week. So I want to see him out there scooting around. So it's still going to be a fun game, and we're going to learn a lot.
Well, I think it's going to be very interesting to see because last report that I saw was talking about the Browns passing game and how it hasn't clicked in camp. And they've been talking about how underwhelming everything has been with the Browns and their passing attack. They're saying that our good friend Deshaun Watson is having some issues. The receivers are having some issues. So I guess the real question is, are they, I'm not going to say that they're playing possum, but they're working out some of the kinks. So it wouldn't surprise me to see like some of the starters. Like I know that the Bills announced that they're going to be playing like, the starters for, like a series and a half or something like that to kind of get it underway. So I would not be surprised to see, some of the Browns guys like Watson and some of the receivers getting a series, possibly even two, just to kind of get them all warmed up.
Yeah, it would be nice. I mean, because this Browns secondary is not exactly magic. Sometimes that happens where it's like, oh, the offense struggles. Turns out the defense is really good. I mean, I don't know if like Grant Delpit and those guys they've taken a step forward.
Yeah, as soon as in our player debate series, I wrote the pro on Deshaun Watson. The report comes out today that he's been struggling, and I'm like, yay, hooray. But yeah, I also released an article on Fantasy Alarm today trying to break down the Eagles backfield. And basically the theme of that entire article was, how do we do this? Because we're not getting any answers. We need to see this because all the reports coming out of training camp are conflicting. Gainwell sat out the first preseason game, but some people think that it was because the Eagles already know what they have with him. Other people are like, no, he's got the RB1 job locked up. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes down tonight.
I read your article. I love the piece. I think it was spot on. I agree with you. I guess my biggest fear would be that Gainwell's ADP is going to start skyrocketing in a hurry. And by the time that I'm doing some drafts, like, the week one, that, all of a sudden Gainwell's going to end up like a 6th round draft pick or something like that, which, just kills the value.
Yeah. Thanks, sellers.
Yeah, way to go, sellers. Jerk.
This is actually the top worst case outcome for sellers because he didn't get him early when he was cheap and now he's expensive. It's like it's a tall price to pay just to be right.
Oh no, he's got him in plenty. He just didn't get him in Scott Fish. He's got him in plenty. Don't you worry.
Big one though. That's the big one.
All right. So Ron Rivera is still not ready to name Sam Howell the week 1 starter. How likely is it that Jacoby Brissett is named the starter, or do you think that this is all coach speak?
I'll jump in here.
You jump in. Sorry.
I've been the Sam Howell detractor. And you know what? In honor of Scott Frankel here, I'll say this. I've looked over both these players, and honestly, they have a very similar profile in terms of, pretty decent arms, and both can run, but they're not like crazy fast. But both Jacoby Brissett and Sam Howell are kind of the same guy in terms of you can't give them space or they will take it. They'll run it in from 10 yards out. They have that ability. So I don't think if I'm personally this team, there's no benefit in starting Jacoby Brissett unless Sam Howell completely falls flat. You really should start him, find out what you have. And if you got the guy, great. And if you don't, then it's just Mike Davis all over again. You used a late pick on the guy. You got to see what you had. And if the team is bad, you end up with a high pick and you take the new guy. Starting Jacoby Brissett this year just to win 8 games instead of 4, it does a disservice to the organization, especially a new front office and team ownership group that probably wants to put their stamp on this team with a new quarterback. So just throw Sam Howell in there. I'd rather see Howell than Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, and not care. I mean, listen, obviously the organization, because new ownership and they're trying to, transition away from everything. They at least want to have some sort of a positive showing. But I agree with you. I don't think that using Brissett over Howell. Brissett is a proven journeyman backup. Like he's proven that that's really all he's capable of. So if you don't test and see what Sam Howell's got at this point, then why bother? So I'm with you.
Yeah, and Herm's in the chat, over under Halloween as to when Howell gets benched. I'm taking the under. I think I'm with you, Herms. I think they're going to start out with Howell, and I really do think that he's going to struggle. So, yeah, I'm with you.
I just don't see the worst thing. Teams do that sometimes, like the Dolphins did it, and it's like if you're already losing, just steer that plane into the mountain and get a better pick here. Why would you bring in a quarterback that's going to win a couple games at the end and Adam Gase you out of getting Trevor Lawrence, right? Remember when sorry, Howard, but I mean, like the Jets inexplicably winning.
Where's that taco floating around?
It's tough, man. Like, just if it's bad, let it be extra bad and reap the benefits in the draft.
Yep. I feel you. All right. So the Colts' Jonathan Taylor left practice again for a quote personal matter. Although this absence was excused, the Colts GM has also spoken more about Taylor's injury, saying that they won't see Taylor on the practice field until he's no longer injured. Is there more to this injury than we're being told? Because from what we've heard, this injury should have only taken 6 weeks to heal. So why is this dragging out?
I think this is gamesmanship. I think that, I don't believe that the injury is really a factor. I think that Jonathan Taylor is saying to the organization, I'm not going to get, if you're not going to pay me what I want to be paid, then I'm not going to get out on the field right now and put myself at risk because, you guys are going to try and run me into the ground and do it like that. On the other hand, Chris Ballard, Jim Irsay, these guys are like, all right, well, you know what? Go ahead, sit on the sidelines because you ain't getting any more money. And the fact is that we're willing to just watch you stand there on the bench. You don't want to play. You don't want to play. Then that's fine. We can still, we can still get by without you. They can't, but that's at least the angle that they're taking right now. Both sides are being a little hard-headed here, and who suffers besides Anthony Richardson and the Colts fans?
Right. And I got to admit, if that is true, Howard, that's kind of a funny chess move by Chris Ballard, right? Where he goes, pay me, but also I'm not playing right now because I'm hurt. And Ballard says, well, we're not going to pay a guy who's hurt, right? And then so what does Taylor have to say now? Oh, just kidding. I'm not hurt. Like, yeah. I'm ready to go, right? So it is kind of a funny. He's like, all right, your move. We'll see you when you're ready.
Well, now it's not my injury. It's a personal matter.
Now it's a personal.
Now
I think the personal matter is that he just got checkmated by Chris Ballard and his feelings are hurt. That's very personal.
It feels personal for sure. So the Jets D-back coach was taken to the hospital yesterday after he got caught in a training camp altercation Tuesday. He's doing okay, seems to be fine. But we saw on Hard Knocks and even reports throughout the league that there have been tons of fights, both in practices at home and in scrimmage games. So while intensity in practice is good, do you guys think that this is getting a little bit out of hand when actual coaches are getting hurt and punches are being thrown?
I'll jump on this one because I've seen this at every level. I mean, we used to see it back in the Pop Warner days with certain teams that we played. And the way their players act, and it goes all the way back to the coach. You want intensity, but it has to be the right kind of intensity. You don't want the Steve Smith punch your teammate in the face and injure him and get yourself suspended intensity. You don't want guys getting thrown out of games like Mike Evans fighting Marshawn Lattimore. You want guys that bring the heat, even bring a little trash talk if it's the right kind of trash talk that gets under the skin of the other players. But that all goes back to the coaches. If the coaches haven't set the boundaries right, like the Mike Tomlin's a perfect example of a guy that lets his players be his players, but he somehow manages, even the crazy ones like Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, manages to keep them, that intensity, focused in the right direction. He was keeping Antonio Brown focused on these records of his, even if it was like, the stupid one, five catches and 40 yards or whatever it was, rather than the crazy stuff. That's what you got to focus on. So if these guys are if it's getting to the point where the coaches are getting hurt in these skirmishes, it's obviously gotten out of control of where you want it to be.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have anything to add on this one here. Sorry that he got taken to the hospital. I could do the whole Chris Tucker. You got knocked the fuck out.
So, well, what I was going to say is that something that I noticed on Hard Knocks, even before I learned about this incident with the Jets, was that one of the coaches walked up to Robert Saleh and said, "Hey, we don't need to clear the benches every time." And then under his breath, Saleh says, "Yeah, we do." And I'm like, no, you don't. That's not discipline. That's not something good. So in the back of my mind, that was a red flag already. And then you hear that one of their coaches got sent to the hospital because people are literally punching each other.
Right.
Cam Akers and Max Crosby are punching each other. It's out of hand. Like, you can't go around punching people. This isn't even a real game. And if you're letting this behavior continue before it is even a real game, what's going to happen when there's a win-loss on the line?
I'll tell you right now,
that's going to be bad.
I wouldn't fight Max Crosby with the two of you guys and Cam Akers and everybody in the chat. That's that's a fight you turn down every time.
Yeah, that I just don't know what they're thinking. So in final actual news, Joe Mixon today was found not guilty in the aggravated menacing case. Do you guys think that this will increase his draft capital, or are we still worried about the little pew-pew with the children incident?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the civil case is still, pending, which if they do find that, that if they do find that there's as you said, Britt, a preponderance of evidence, against Joe Mixon, there's still like that possibility of like a 1, maybe 2 game suspension. I think, listen, finding him not guilty here in this case, like, isn't this is the case where he like flashed the piece like during some sort of a road rage incident? So if that's not, if he's found not guilty of that, and the NFL isn't going to punish him for, being involved in that fashion, then I'm not really that worried. I'll still take Joe Mixon. I'm fine with
I'll
that.
tell you what. And again, I'm not inside on this. I don't know, but the timing of this whole thing, it lines up pretty perfectly. The morning that Joe Mixon had his case and everybody talked about what was going on and what they were going to do before the verdict came out, that afternoon, Dalvin Cook signed with the Jets and Zeke Elliott signed with the Patriots. So you have to wonder if maybe somebody was waiting around saying, okay, let's see how this goes. And right after it happened, they were like, you know what? Mixon's going to play. Let's sign these other deals, right? So timing a little suspicious there. Kind of makes me a little more interested in Mixon again. Got one more hurdle to jump. This guy cannot stay out of trouble, man.
No.
Well, that's the thing. He did. Like, I mean, he had the incident in college, right, where he like punched that woman in the face. Like, what a jackass there. And yet every NFL GM said the exact same thing. Oh, I'll still draft him because I don't want him running against me, with that. But, for all intents and purposes, the first several years of his career, he stayed out of trouble. He toed the line. And that was, and it was so funny too, because I was like, giving him credit on air for, toeing the line and being a good citizen. And then all of a sudden this nonsense happened. So I was like, all right, never mind.
I take that back.
Oh yeah, I know, but I'll still draft him.
Well, it sounds like it's all big nothing. So maybe we're good. I'm drafting.
We'll see.
The Rotobuzz gal came in here. She dropped off some Red Bull, but she put it so far away.
I was going to say, I was going to ask if it was a smoothie.
Right? No smoothie, no more health. It's like, screw it. I'm going to give my husband the heart attack. So I'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb steak.
So hard to find good help these days, really.
Yes, but she always comes through with like the 20-ouncer.
She knows.
Right? Yeah, that's the important one.
She doesn't waste her time with like the 8-ouncer. She's like, I'm going to put my husband into the ground and I'm going to do it fast.
Right, dude.
Or into the clouds and then into the ground.
All right. Well, enough of this downer stuff. Like, you got any popcorn for us, Britt? You got any fun going on over there?
I do. So the Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel said that he is very happy with Miami's running back group after missing out on Dalvin Cook. But my question is, should he be? Do we think that Mostert, Wilson, and A-Chain can carry this team?
What do you think, Red Bull?
I do think that this trio can carry the load. I mean, I think this puts Devin A-Chain in a much better spot because let's face it, neither Mostert nor Jeff Wilson have been a bastion of health. I think Mostert probably gets like first crack at this since, he's got, I mean, both him and Wilson have the relationship with Mike McDaniel, but, Mostert's got the speed, he's got the size. Wilson sort of profiled more as like the short yardage guy, maybe a couple of passes out of the flat, nothing crazy there. So I think Devin A-Chain, I think this is the perfect way to bring him along a little bit more slowly. But I'll draft A-Chain before I'll draft Mostert or Wilson, because I think come, I don't know, week 4, week 5, week 6, like that's, the cream will just rise to the top and A-Chain will probably be the guy who will be leaned on the most. You'll still see Mostert and Wilson kind of weaved in there, but I think A-Chain's got a very, very strong chance of shining bright in this backfield.
Not to mention Raheem Mostert consistently, even as a part-time back, finds a way to miss time. Like that's been his MO, undersized back, speedy guy, but at 31 years old, doesn't even have, well, I guess he did have a 67-yard run last year. But I think A-Chain is the future. The one thing I'm really looking forward to this week that I need to see is I went back and watched every play of Devon A-Chain at last preseason game, and it all looked pretty good, except the pass pro was pretty bad. He was just diving at guys' legs. One play, the guy just stepped right over him because he did it 3 times in a row. So I want to see him, right? Like he was like, okay, I know that trick now. Like, so I need to see him step up and prove the pass pro, because at the end of the day, that's the job to have. Jeff Wilson going to be the bruiser back, but one of Mostert or A-Chain are going to be the guy in pass pro. And when it comes to 2-minute drill, where you have to know all the audibles and you have to be able to protect the quarterback, one guy gets that job. No time for substitutions. If he can earn that job with that speed, then it's wheels up. But I need to see him do something out there. So keep an eye on that. Pass play goes up. I know it's fun to watch the receivers and all that, but keep an eye on the back. See who's actually able to keep Tua upright.
Yep. And I'm a little bit worried about the health situation, which makes me worry about the depth situation. I know all these guys are talented, but like you said, Coop, Mostert has a history of getting hurt. Wilson hasn't been exactly the healthiest.
Right.
If one or both of those guys goes down, it's going to be kind of icky.
4.5 season.
Speaking about going down and injury updates, Treylon Burks only has an LCL sprain, y'all. He escaped major damage.
That was scary.
The happiest. Best case scenario out of all that. Anybody have anything to say about?
Yes, I will say this. I'm very disappointed in FA Nation that I did not see more Britt Flinn memes passed around yesterday after the look on her face when it was announced in the chat that he went down. I was expecting like some like hardcore like crying Jordan memes. And I didn't see anything. So shame on you, FA Nation.
You know what? They were just being respectful.
Right.
They knew it. They knew that would just be too far.
I think you can make them now. Now you can make them now that it's been LCL. The most interesting part of that was it's crazy, the NFL doctor Twitter community. And I appreciate the work that they do, especially when we have the info and they tell us how long the player is actually going to be out. That's all great. But just the immediate people jumping out this video that was taken from like a mile away, being like, that looks like to me like an ACL or I don't think one person said LCL. And then once they said what it was, then the second video came out where it's like, here's what an LCL is and here's what you need to know. It's like the Twitter doctor prognosis community is the quickest in the industry. It's pretty impressive.
Let's just wait though, please. Let's just wait because that's panic.
You can't wait, bro. You got to be first. You got to be first. You got to be right, and then you got a victory lap. That's the rules.
I guess I need a handbook. So the Lions are shutting down Jameson Williams for the rest of the preseason after he injured his hamstring yesterday. Does this make you worry about his fantasy value even when he comes back from suspension? Because he didn't really play a lot last year. Now he's got a 6-game suspension, probably 6-year suspension when it comes down to it. Is he really going to do anything? I think that this is bust behavior, but I want to know what you guys think.
Ooh, bust behavior. I mean, I was just going to be like, he's right now he's a deep threat guy. And I mean, what does it take to run a post pattern? But so as long as he's healthy, I mean, that's what we're going to be looking at from him. It's like he's like the modern day Will Fuller, right? Run downfield really, really fast. When I throw you the ball, catch it.
Yeah, if you put that juju on him, then he's going to get the spiral fracture.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Will Fuller is that he would just bust off like a 70-yard touchdown, and it would make. He did have that one crazy year where he did that like 5 times, so his stats looked good. But you're right, his main job is to take the safeties with him. I will say this though: they have no one else that does what he does, and no one else that's explosive the way he is. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown is great at doing what he does, but it's not the same thing. So I think his job is safe as long as he's healthy. It's just a matter of whether he's going to be, good enough to be. There's field stretchers that just do that, like KJ Hamler and whoever, and Deshaun Jackson towards the end. And then there's guys that are dynamic enough to have a full route tree, like Tyreek Hill and Tyler Lockett. What kind of guy is he going to be? We'll have to see. But right now, Howard's right. His one job is just take people with you so that everyone else can catch it underneath.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So just a few more here. Jordan Addison is in concussion protocol, but it's not thought to be serious. So we can all breathe a little bit easy for those in Dynasty and redraft on him. The Raiders activated their first-round pick, Tyree Wilson, from the NFI list, bringing in some much-needed help for their defense. But then the final one is one that I do want to touch on. The Dolphins' offensive tackle, Teron Armstead, was carted off in practice today after laying on the field for a good while. If the mission, and I have to believe it is to keep Tua upright, this is a big, big blow to their line if it's something serious. So if it is, how concerned are you guys about Tua?
I mean, I'm just concerned in general. I mean, it's not, I mean, I've got Tua in a couple of places, but yeah, I mean, not having Teron Armstead on the line is a big deal. I'm just going to wait and see what the test results are and what they're saying. But, I'm hoping that, 3 weeks between now and week 1, they'll be able to kind of, figure out how to plug the hole best. But I do think that this is a concern.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill tried. Did you see what Tyreek Hill said? He tried to sweep under the rug. He's like, Teron texted me. He says, I'm good. I'm just old. So maybe.
I hope that's the case.
Right. Well, he's a huge part of that offense because if they're trying, the whole thing they do is building the same offense the 49ers have. And look at how important Trent Williams is to that offense. Teron Armstead is supposed to be the same guy. They paid a ton of money to get him. So they need this guy. I'll move everybody down if that guy's out. But apparently he was texting people saying he's going to be all right. So hopefully he will be. But that would be a nightmare if he were out.
Latest report here from Marcel Louis-Jacques from ESPN.com says that it's a hip leg injury. It is not believed to be serious. So he'll undergo further testing, but it sounds like the veteran left tackle has avoided a serious injury after being forced to leave Thursday's practice.
I feel like every hip injury is serious to some degree. How do you have a non-serious hip injury?
Well, that's what I was thinking too, especially if you're old.
Yeah.
Is that
I don't know?
Get out of bed and be like, my hip.
My grandma's been complaining about her hip for 40 years. Crying out loud.
Still smashing aces and pickleball every morning though.
Right.
Oh man. All right, so that should be it for the news today, unless you guys have something that I missed.
I don't have any news that was missed. I'm excited about this next segment. I want to start it off by just shouting it out to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Because listen, we do all our best ball drafts on Underdog Fantasy. You talk about the weekly winners. I love the weekly winners, by the way. Like one draft and then your team every single week gets a shot at 20 grand for first place. So I'm totally in on that. But what I'm also digging here on Underdog Fantasy is their pick'em contests. And what you guys can do is go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. All right. Sign up using the promo code ALARM. They'll give you a match deposit up to $100, 100% match deposit. So what you do is go over there, fantasyalarm.com/underdog, sign up with the promo code ALARM, deposit $100. And then I'll tell you what, man, take four entries to the Best Ball Mania 4, jump in on those, and then scatter that, the rest of that bankroll in pick'em contests, in cheaper best ball contests that they do. And you can make it all go a very, very long way. But I actually want to focus on the pick'em contest that they're running over there. And listen, guys, this is very, very simple. They've got the stats for all the players listed right there, and all you have to do is say higher or lower. Pretty easy, right?
Pretty easy to me.
It doesn't get much easier than that, unless, of course, I start throwing you guys some stat lines here, and then maybe it kind of makes you a little crazy. So how about we do this? I'm going to throw you guys some stat lines,
okay,
and you guys tell me whether it's higher or lower. I will say that for the first question, all right, Britt will answer first, then Coop. Second question, Coop will answer first, then Britt, and we'll go back and forth like that. Can you two play nicely in the sandbox together?
We'll see.
Always.
Yeah, don't say always.
I wish you were a liar.
There it is.
There's Burns.
Shout out to Brian Burns, our producer here today.
Yeah.
I love Brian. One of my absolute faves.
I love it.
Yeah, he does love it. All right, guys, you ready? We're gonna start off with some quarterbacks here. Britt Flinn, Josh Allen. All right, here we go. Let me pick a really good one for him. You know what? Here, 7 rushing touchdowns, higher or lower?
So I'm actually going to go lower here. I know for years that the Bills have been saying that they want to take some of the rushing volume off of Josh Allen, that he runs too much, but they've never really found a good balance. I mean, Devin Singletary was a small guy, couldn't really pound it in on the goal line work. But now they've got James Cook, who's quite a bit bigger than Singletary was. From what we've heard, he's been doing great in training camp. They also brought over Damian Harris, who's been known as like a plotting kind of bruiser back. I think that when it comes to the goal line situations this year, they're going to get more of the work. They're going to hold Allen back. So I'm going to go lower.
Well, I'll tell you, Britt. I'll tell you, Britt. It all sounds great in theory until the game starts. We used to say stuff like that all the time, that like, and even the Steelers were saying that, like, Najee Harris, we're going to give him less work. And then when push came to shove and the game was on the line, Najee Harris got virtually every goal line carry. He played all the 2-minute drills. This is what happens when you get in those situations, and there's one play or one style of play that works better than any other. And for the Bills, it's the RPO. And if you look at the touchdown totals for this guy, 8, 9, 8, 6, 7. Only one time has he been under 7. This one for me, I'm going over, especially since Damian Harris is already banged up. So, they don't really have that ground and pound option as of this moment. So give me Josh Allen over, and that's why we take him when we draft him in fantasy drafts.
Higher. All right, higher than 7 rushing touchdowns for Coop, lower than 7 rushing touchdowns for Britt.
We'll have to keep track of who wins, and loser leaves town.
All right. Well, which one of you wants to write this stuff down? I don't know.
As long as you send me on an all expense paid vacation.
Oh,
loser.
That's the only way I'm leaving town
on an all expense paid vacation.
On an all expense.
No, I said that's the only way I'm leaving town.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's do another one. I'll stick with Josh Allen here. Then we did the rushing touchdowns. How about this one here? We'll start with Coop. Higher or lower, Coop? 32.5 passing touchdowns.
For Josh Allen?
Yes, for Josh Allen.
Ooh, man. I just set myself up to be like, oh, Josh Allen's the undisputed QB1. But, I mean, I believe in Dalton Kincaid. I've been harping all offseason they should have done more. But, I mean, they brought back all the guys that they had last year, and they brought in Dalton Kincaid that I believe in. So I actually think that in a 17-game season, it's not crazy to throw 33, 34, 35. I mean, I'm kind of painting a picture of an MVP season here, but I think he can have the over on that one too. So give me the over on Josh Allen, and that's why I'm drafting him so high in fantasy.
All right. Higher is what you want, Coop. You want the higher.
You want to get high?
Higher is exactly what I meant. That's right.
Tally's in the neighborhood here too. I love that. All right, Britt, higher or lower? Josh Allen, 32.5 passing touchdowns.
I'm going to go higher as well. Since he came back with, that new coordinator, the new quarterback coach that he had, he has not gone lower than that number the entire time. He's had 37, 36, 35. If I'm supporting my argument earlier that they are going to run him less and pass more, then he's got to go higher.
All right. All right. You know, it's so funny. I was looking at Underdog's stat lines and they had, what was it? Stephon Diggs, 99.5 receptions. And I was like, man, I know he's the only game in town right now. They have Dalton Kincaid, but I mean, I don't know, man. I know that Ken Dorsey wants to run a little bit more. So here's a bonus one here. 99.5 receptions for Stephon Diggs. Britt, higher or lower?
Man. Yeah, I think I'm going to go higher. I think even with Dalton Kincaid, they didn't bring enough weapons in. It's going to be higher.
She says higher. Coop?
Yeah, I'm going to go higher, man, because he's a 150 target guy. That's what we're all projecting him for. I'll go higher. And I'll tell you one thing I want to point out here. You look at these stat lines that they're setting for guys like they have him at 99. I've seen Devontae Adams at 99. When you look around, you know, even Amon-Ra St. Brown with his style of play is set around 100 as well. You look at a guy like A.J. Brown where they have him set at 75. Again, most of the the stat projection pages, they're scaring me a little bit with A.J. Brown. So just something to point out, something to maybe arbitrate in your fantasy drafts, or go on Alarm. And if you love A.J. Brown, go on Underdog, use promo code Alarm. If you love A.J. Brown, boost him up, get him in there, right? Because everyone's got him set pretty low.
All right, let's go with another QB here. Let's stick with that, because this is going to probably be a little bit more interesting in the sense that Justin Fields, right? We're trying to figure out what the Bears are going to do. They want him to throw more. I've heard a lot of equating him to Lamar Jackson in his second season and how much he threw. So, I'll start with you, Coop. Justin Fields, 2,985.5 passing yards. You want to go higher or lower for Justin Fields?
Good Lord, that's it? That's where they got him?
Basically, right? I mean, it's fewer than 3,000.
What do they have Josh Allen at?
Josh Allen's at 4,300.5.
4,300. So they have Josh Allen 1,400 more passing yards. That, honestly, when you see where these guys go in drafts, that has me a little scared for Justin Fields. So I will say higher on that number for Fields. I do think they throw more, but my goodness, if they are saying Allen is going to have 1,400 more passing yards than Fields, that's kind of scary for Fields.
I think I'm going to go ahead and take the lower. I don't think that they really changed their offensive identity that much. I think Fields is still going to be taking off with the ball. I think that they brought in, D'Onta Foreman, and everybody's going to run the ball quite a bit. He's going to have a little bit of an uptick, but 700 yards of an uptick when, he only threw 2,200 last year and 1,800 the year before. I don't really see him getting over it. The Bears are still going to play leather helmet era football.
I'll tell you what, I honestly could see it, but that's 175 passing yards a game. So if that's the case, DJ Moore I see him go in the third or fourth round. If his quarterback's going to throw 175 yards a game, that DJ Moore pick is going to be painful.
Yep.
No doubt. All right, let's cruise through. Let's hit the running backs here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Coop's like, yeah. All right, fine. I'm gonna give you a tough one then.
Give me a tough one.
All right, Austin Eckler.
No, pass, skip.
No, I'm not gonna skip. This is not like the $25,000 pyramid, my friend, where we can just pass on a topic.
Throw me a softball.
A softball? Okay, here you go. Austin Eckler, 575.5 receiving yards.
Ooh,
higher or lower?
Interesting. So I'm actually gonna go. Oh man, because he easily clears that typically. But I'm gonna go lower than that. And on the narrative that Joe Lombardi was the guy. Joe Lombardi was the guy calling all these jump downs, and it's the reason that he had over 100 targets, and it's the reason that Joe Lombardi's out. Kellen Moore was brought in to call a new set of plays. No more dink and dunk. No more Justin Herbert, QB 34 in average depth of target. And part of that's going to mean less targets for Austin Eckler. So I'm willing to go under on 575.5. And also, lower on 565.5. And the thing about going lower on these ones is that you have 2 outs. I also have an out if he gets hurt. So I'm projecting him to be lower, but also if he gets hurt, I get a second way out on that pick.
Britt, 575.5.
I'm going higher all day long. The last time he went under that was in 2020 when he only played 10 games. If you look at his numbers last year, just on his yards per route run, he ranked 7th with 1.75 yards per route run. His route participation ranked 5th. His actual routes run were 1st. Even with this change in offensive coordinator, he's still such an integral part of that offense. He's going to go higher.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn based on the number, right? I'm a little bit torn on there because I do agree that Kellen Moore's offense does not throw, it doesn't throw to the running back as often. I mean, you think about it, Britt, when you were watching Tony Pollard, under Kellen Moore, I mean, you had to be frustrated by the fact that he wasn't more active in the passing game at all. And I feel like that's the thing. So, when I look at, the numbers for Austin Eckler, let me see if I can pull them up here where I want to see. No, I only see, I'm only looking at yardage here on the sheet, but I'll tell you what, if they've got a targets or a receptions stat line for Austin Eckler, then I'm definitely saying lower because I don't think that he's going to get fed the way it was. So I'm in that camp there. I'm a little worried about Austin Eckler. How about, all right, let's do one more here, right? One more. Okay. By the way, if you guys are looking for where these stat lines are, Underdog Fantasy is where we're pulling them. UnderdogFantasy.com is the website, but you want to go, if you haven't signed up over there yet, go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog and then use that promo code ALARM, and that'll get you a 100% match deposit up to $100. So here we go. It is my boy, is my favorite, is Bijan Robinson. Yeah. I'll let you guys, you know what? I'll let you guys pick which stat line you want to talk. I'll give you 3 options. I'll start with Britt. Britt, you can choose either rushing touchdowns, rushing yards, or 100-yard rushing games. Which stat line you want me to find for you?
I'm going to go with the rushing yard stat line.
All right.
And I'm going to go higher.
I didn't even give you the line.
Doesn't matter. It's 2,000.
2,000 over or higher. 2,000 higher. No, it's 1,099.5.
You're logged in. That's not fair. You must have already used promo code ALARM, huh? So you're going over on higher on
1099 basically.
1099. Honestly, I'm going higher as well. I think Bijan is the real deal. Everything. I mean, it really truly does remind me of Saquon Barkley, where every step of this process he has knocked out of the park. Every interview's been great. He says he wants to be great. He says he wants to be a Falcon. He did the combine, even though he absolutely didn't have to, and he destroyed every category, right? Like Bijan, for me, I'm going higher on every number, and I'm willing to take him in the first round. The problem is there's just so many other good backs that I also want. I wish there was some way I could get both Saquon and Bijan or Chubb and Bijan. At one point during this offseason, that was possible. Now everybody been listening to Howard Bender a little too much, and everything's all steamed up now.
Yeah, Saquon actually went before Bijan in the Queen's Classic.
So did Chubb.
I was certain that I wasn't going to get Bijan, and then Saquon went literally one pick before.
Yeah, you got a heck of a deal. RB5, right? That's pretty.
Dude, I was talking to Lisa Ann, who got McCaffrey at 9.
Yeah, that was insane.
Classic.
She took. When we interviewed her on that, I mean, she took the 2 players she took. If her team wins, it's going to be funny looking back because she just got last year the guy that went at 101 and also the guy that went at 102. Or she started with CMC and Jonathan Taylor. So if her team wins, we're going to look back and be like, oh, well, yeah, obviously.
Yep.
I think Bender might have frozen on us there.
Yeah, maybe. So Seller says he's got the Bijan Chubb stack and a bunch of early best balls.
I've seen it for a little bit there, honestly. There was a brief period where you could do it, where it's like, what happened to the whole wide receivers, the entire first round wide receiver thing that we were going through for a period there? That seems to have fallen to the wayside, because now every draft I get in, especially like the Kings Classic and the Queens Classic with the Sharps, they're just drafting like we always draft, where it's just the best players going. Nobody's taking the second tier of what I was told the second tier of wide receivers is going to go before the first tier running backs. What happened to that? Those were the good old days. So it looks like that's out the window a little bit.
Yep. Well, thanks for playing Underdog higher or lower with us, because we've got some fun stuff coming up on Reddit. But before you do that, if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. They will match your first time deposit 100% up to $100, in case you missed that earlier. That's 4 free entries into their Best Ball Mania 4 with a $3 million first place prize. There's tons of fun games over there, like these stat lines, ton of fun stuff to do. Go check them out and use the code ALARM.
There you go. Well, we lost Howard Bender here. When he gets back, he's frozen in time, like Han Solo, right? He's just sitting at his computer frozen. Hopefully Burns can get him heated up or chiseled out or whatever you got to do to get him back on here. But in the meantime, what we plan to do with this segment was answer some of Reddit's questions. Those guys over there, they got some hard-hitting questions, some about football, some not, all equally important. So we're going to answer some of those. Would love for the chat to weigh in on some of these. I pull these from either the fantasy football sub, the dynasty sub, the ask Reddit sub, some of the random subreddits. People are just throwing questions out there. Anytime I see them, I'm like, we can answer that. We'll bring that to the show. So first one, this is a fantasy football one. Britt, you and I can answer this one while we wait for Howard. Zipski577 over on Reddit asks, does anyone foresee Jalen Hurts having a down season? What are your thoughts on that, Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I think that he may. He took the ball so much on the goal line and had so many rushing touchdowns that it does seem like there might be a little bit of touchdown regression. If Rashad Penny, DeAndre Swift come in there and make a play, then they might take some of that rushing upside away. He could counter that by passing more, but man, those rushing touchdowns and those 6 points added up really quickly. And I just don't know if he's going to do that again.
Yeah, the other part is, I kind of alluded to it before, but I've been looking at all the lines. Like I put them all in a spreadsheet and kind of look at what the different books are saying, what Underdog is saying for stat lines. And they actually have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith kind of low. And they have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith close together. Like the yardage line set at 1050 for A.J. Brown and 975 for Devonta Smith. That makes me still in on Smith. But when you look around, like the over-under touchdown total for Dallas Goedert's only 3.5. People obviously have been preparing all offseason to stop that QB sneak, the whole team QB sneak push. So I'm with you. I'm a little worried there, especially when I'm looking around at what the industry is saying for this guy. So I have Hurts ranked third. I've seen people rank him at QB1. I still have him at 3, but I would much rather spend up on Mahomes and on Josh Allen than on Jalen Hurts. So.
And it is interesting in real life football too, where the executives ranked Justin Herbert over him, which is just something in the back of your mind to make you think too.
That's true. So let's do a non-football question here. There's one I wanted to have Howard on for if he can make it back in. So I'll ask this one. What is a movie, Britt, that I feel like everybody has one of these, maybe not Joey Wright in the chat because he's seen every movie there's ever been, but what is a movie that, quote unquote, everyone has seen except you?
Well, if you know me, you know that I have not seen a lot of movies, but the one that elicits the most reaction, I think, is The Godfather.
How dare you?
There it is. You've never seen it at all, never even tried to watch Godfather?
No.
The thing, so I watched it as an adult. I didn't go out of my way to watch it as a kid, but I could tell you, you have to watch it just because there's so many references. I'm sure that you're just like, what is that? Or at this point, do you already know what all the Godfather references are because they've been beaten over your head?
I mean, maybe I'm sure that I know the reference. I just don't know that it's from the movie.
That's wild. Yeah, Scott Frankel in the chat. The exact response you get here.
Yeah.
How is that possible? And a lot of people saying Harry Potter's. You guys should. I mean, I don't know. I read the books because I grew up during that era, but the movies are good too. Like the movies standalone, you should check those out. Those are good. Howard, we're going through right now. The question was, what is one movie that everyone has seen except you? Britt went with The Godfather. It sounded like you could have picked. If The Godfather's on that list, I bet a lot of them are. We know that John and Pemba has never seen a movie in his life. But what about you, Howard? What's a movie where people are like, you haven't seen that?
All right. You ready for this one? I have never seen a James Bond movie.
None of them?
Not a single one.
None of them.
How is that possible?
I've seen maybe like a clip here and there from like, going through like TV channels and stuff like that, like TBS or TNT will be doing like a Bond marathon. And once I see that it's a Bond marathon, I'm like, I'm out. I feel like it's not necessarily it's a movie that you need to see all the movies in chronological order, but I do like, I feel like I should like start with Dr. No and work my way like through them all. So I have not seen a single James Bond movie. Like that's like the ultimate
25.
never have I ever like drinking game move for me. That's my go-to.
There's 25 movies over a span of like 70 years, Howard, and you've never seen a single one.
I've never seen a single one.
Don't let Kyle L. Frank hear that. He'll come for you, man. He said he told me that Kyle said that he's seen all 25 at least 10 times.
Well, oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's real scampers. I'm telling you, I have never seen a Bond. I've seen like the beginning of the movie Moonraker. I saw, I think, like a clip from Casino Royale, but forget about it. And once all of a sudden, once they made Remington Steele James Bond, and for those of you who didn't grow up in the 80s and don't know who Remington Steele is, that's Pierce Brosnan. Right? I couldn't take him seriously, as James Bond. So I just I passed on them all.
Yeah, so mine's actually kind of similar. It's funny you bring up the chronological thing because at one point I actually tried to watch the entire Marvel universe. This was like 10 years ago. I started watching everything in chronological order. Mm-hmm. And I was watching the TV shows and stuff. Like I watched some horrible TV shows. There was one of them, I forget, now I forget which one it was, but they were trying to petition to bring it back. And I was about to start a petition to keep it canceled because like I'm trying to watch all these in order here. But the thing is, I ran out of time. I fell off. I had too much going on. And now I can't go back. So there's like a period where I just was done. And now I haven't seen any of the new ones. I've never seen any of the Avengers, Endgame, any of those. And so I'm missing out. Now I've never seen none of them because I can't get past the mental block of like, in my mind, I need to go back to like 2017 and watch some like the original Thor, some of those before I can progress. And I'm just stuck. I'm stuck in time.
I understand.
No, that's so sad.
I've heard they're very
sad
good
for you, Coop.
I know. I've heard they're good films, but maybe someday when I retire from fantasy football and can sleep, I will watch those films in order. Yeah. I think it was Agent Carter. Now I remember Agent Carter is one of the worst TV shows I've ever seen. The special effects in that made The Secret World of Alex Mack look like Thor Ragnarok. Let's put it that way. So don't if you ever have a hankering to watch that, don't watch it. And if they do get that petition going, I need you guys to support me in keeping that canceled.
Oh man.
Scampers. My mom was a big Remington Steele fan. Thanks a lot, Scampers.
There you go, Scamp. Mm-hmm. All right, let's do a football question here. Here's a good one. Smurf King 420, the esteemed Smurf King 420 on Reddit asks, who is your last round target? Who are you grabbing the last round of fantasy drafts? Britt, I'll go to you first on that one.
We already know that it's Tank Dell. We talked about him yesterday.
Okay.
Love that kid. Scooping him up. He made another impressive outing yesterday in camp. I think he caught 3 touchdowns yesterday in camp. From what I've seen today, he's looking really good. He's looking really good in actual gameplay. Give me all the tank.
Tank it up. Howard?
How about Mike White? I mean, granted, it's leagues where I've drafted Tua, because for me, it's about investing in the system, not just the player. And we saw what Tua was like with Miami's offense last year, and he looked fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But then all of a sudden, you tried to switch it up to Teddy Bridgewater, and we know that Bridgewater can't throw it deep. He's fine with the dink and dunk stuff. He's fine with the short, high percentage passing, but he can't sling the rock downfield. Mike White can. I think Mike White can excel in this offense. So what I've been doing is instead of taking a second QB, I've just because if Tua goes down, I don't need to get into a bidding war with anybody for free agency, because somebody will jump on it immediately. So if I just kind of tuck him away right there, and then just use waivers for when Miami's bye week happens, then I'll be okay.
Nice. Mine similar to Scott Frankel's here in the chat. I like taking, if it's a shallow draft, I take Alec Pierce with my last pick. If it's a deeper draft, I just took a 20-round draft. I took Josh Downs. And the reason I do it in the shallow draft is Alec Pierce gets drafted, Josh Downs doesn't. So I'll draft Alec Pierce, knowing that I can pivot to Josh Downs later. But Josh Downs and Alec Pierce, good pick. One of those two guys, or maybe even Jelani Woods could end up being the guy there. So we're up against the clock here. Want to ask one more. Let's do one more silly one for Reddit. They want to know, let's see, who asked this one? TB1289. Oh, no, that's not the right one. Suspicious You 1915 asks, what's your go-to joke when someone asks you to tell a joke? And I'll go to you, Howard. Say, hey, somebody says, hey, tell me a joke. What do you say, Howard?
Oh, you know what? I mean, I'm perfectly fine. When does a joke become a dad joke? When it goes out for cigarettes and never comes back.
Oh my God, dude.
There you go. Thank you. I'm playing the room all evening. Try the veal.
Britt, what do you got? We only got a minute left.
Mine's kind of dirty, but it's funny. What do tofu and dildos have in common?
What?
They're both meat substitutes.
Oh my goodness, dude. You guys with the rude jokes. I got a nice clean one for the kids out there. Mine is what's Mozart's favorite fruit?
What?
Banana.
Coop is already embracing the dad joke.
Already
doing it.
Joke.
There it is, baby. We got some in the chat. Wow, Chris Sellers. Horse walks into a bar. Bartender asks, why the long face?
Right? Ham sandwich walks into a bar. Bartender says, we don't serve food here. That's going to do it for us here on Alarm Fantasy Football. We thank everybody in the chat. For Britt Flinn, for Andrew Cooper. Thank you, Brian Burns. I'm Howard Bender. This has been Alarm Fantasy Football. We'll catch you next time.